This is the first one that we're going to be doing remotely during this whole situation. So I am your host. My name is Joseph Percher. With me, as always, Gary G6 Turner. And then as a guest, we have animal athlete and top 5 212 Olympian, John Jewett.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on. I know that everybody's super busy right now, so it's glad to get a couple minutes of your time. So the first thing
that was sarcasm.
That was sarcasm.
Yeah. Yes, I'm sitting home and nothing. No.
So I think a good way to open this. I know that I'm interested in this with you, John, because we are closing in here. It's the first week of April. I'd assume you'd probably be beginning your Olympia Prep sometime soon, maybe beginning of May, mid-May. I don't want to speak for you, but I'm really curious. We're all dealing with this, and Gary and I are getting ready for just shows in New Jersey, So you're getting ready for the Super Bowl bodybuilding. And I want to know what your mentality is like right now, going into what would be the start of the biggest prep of your life. What is your mentality like right now? Has it changed at all? How are you approaching this?
Yeah, I mean, there has been so much uncertainty with everything that is going on. Like a lot of these, especially for your area, but even in Texas, like a lot of our summer shows are starting to pull out. And even if maybe their restrictions are open, but hey, you might not even have competitors for your show because they're already not being able to prep under the conditions that are happening. But at least for the Olympia, as of right now, it looks like it's all on. The questions that are coming up about qualifications and how are they going to arrange things? It looks like they're going to extend the qualification to like August 29th for shows, but that's still kind of a limited window for a lot of people, especially we have a lot of competitors that are overseas that might have travel restrictions, and that's just other things to think about. But I would be confident in knowing like the IFBB, it will make sure that they fill the lineup as long as we're able to actually have the Olympia by September. But I should start prepping like 2 weeks. I start at 20 weeks out, which it's close. So mindset wise, this is my career. This is what I do. It's what I love to do anyway. So, I mean, whether, there's a situation going on or not, I'm going to do my best to do the things I love that make me happy. And to just sit at home and like, well, I'm just not going to train or do the things I love anymore. Like, that's not even a thought process for me. And I feel like a lot of people can feel guilty right now about if you have access to some type of private gym or a home gym. I've had people just, want to stop prepping because they feel guilty. And I don't think you should ever feel guilty about continuing to pursue your goals just ruthlessly is how I feel about it. Like I want my goals to happen more than anything, and things will change situationally, but I'm never going to pull myself away from that to be like a martyr for, putting out that, let's just spend time with our families now and not worry about bodybuilding. Like, I think you should continue pursuing your goals and not feel bad about that.
Mm. There's like a big fissure going on in the world. It's a very divided world right now over people who think somehow it became humanity versus freedom, where it's like, just in our industry where it's like, we want to train in a gym. We want to keep going with everything that we're doing. And then you have the other side who's like, it's not about your gym. It's not about your stupid shows. People are dying. And I understand these are major, major issues, and you can be sympathetic to both. You don't have to pick a side. Most people that say that sort of stuff to us are people who don't get it. Maybe they have only 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the hole. I mean, Joe just locked himself in a damn gym in the basement for 2.5 weeks or 2 weeks. And, I'm the same way. It's, I would never feel that it was like you're being a martyr or something like that. I don't care. If I had a private gym to train at, I wouldn't throw it in people's faces. Like if a gym owner was like, let me go in the back door or something, I wouldn't record in these times to make it look like, somebody else who probably wants that as well. You just get in and get your job done. But yeah, it's a big, the country's divided real bad right now.
John, with all the clients that you have, I wanted to ask, because we were in the heart of the prep competitive season, even though we hadn't reached the shows yet, it was the heart of, when people begin to prep and we're deep into prep even. What type of trends were you seeing with your clients and just in general?
Yeah, well, you had some like pretty distinct groups. Some that were in the worst situations to where their work closed and it was a non-essential business like a restaurant or something like that.
Right.
And they just lost their jobs. And they're simply like, hey, I can't work anymore. I can't pay for my daily expenses, let alone worry about prepping for a bodybuilding show. So you have like this group over there that's like the extreme side that they are just completely pulled out of prep. You had some that were now doing in-home sheltering, but had maybe limited or no gym access, but possibly still have the funds to continue prepping. But now it's a suboptimal condition because they're stuck at home just doing bodyweight workouts. Then you have this other group that still has funding to bodybuild. They still have some type of good gym access. Maybe it's a private gym, maybe it's a good home gym setup. And so they're relatively unchanged. So I'd say it was kind of like broken into these three groups. So you do have to manage each one a little bit differently, and what you want to do with them and their prep considerations, and also the uncertainty that is around like the prepping for a show or not prepping.
Right. Yeah. Now, would you say it was like, split evenly, like a third, or and maybe let's not even really, because there was a distinct group there that really had no choice, right? So the people that did have maybe the opportunity to continue, were you seeing, because I felt like I saw a lot of people, and, I talked about this on YouTube and all that, but, people that could have continued and, just chose it as like, oh, now that the season's canceled, I'm just going to be laying around and home with my family. Great time to kick back into a rebound and get fat on the couch. I felt like we saw a lot of that. And
yeah,
mostly it was the people that were not going to be ready to begin with.
Yeah, it's hard to break it down percentage-wise. I mean, I do feel like coaching, you attract clients that are similar to your mindset and approach. Yeah. And so I do get people that are extremely dedicated and have been with me for a while. And I'm sure a lot of other coaches have those same type of athletes as well. I tend to get people that are very meticulous and thought out, which that also carries it into their professional and business careers. So I want to say some of these people are just more stable in general. So, that's kind of like, I guess, more of my demographic. But you're right. Yeah, there was some people that just like, I think that initial reaction was like, oh, we're going to shut down for a week. Let's just take a deload week and take it easy. And that was like the first thing that people are putting out. But now it's like, well, no, this is going to be a month long. No, this might be even longer. It's like, okay, we're not just going to sit back and relax. We got to figure something out. And that's when you see all these home gym workouts coming, or people finding out other ways, and you're seeing the content change now, and that information put out is a little different. So I don't know. Y'all notice that kind of like the change in social media about people what they're putting out in regards to that?
Gare?
I see a lot of the home gym stuff, and to be frank with you, I know this is going to sound like kind of like crude a little bit, a little rough, but I know that like me and Joe have spoken about it before. It's as a competitor. I'm not talking about the regular person, but as a competitor, it is your responsibility. And I made a post about this yesterday, to find the necessary means and adjust to this sort of thing. Meaning something like Joe just bought a Stairmaster for his home. He found one and he got it. He wasn't going to say, well, John, the gyms are closed. I guess I can't do cardio. He went above and beyond to find a Stairmaster because that's what he needed to continue his prep, and he did it. People are finding adequate gym setups, whether it's not better than the gym that they normally train at, but it's not just bands. And if a bodybuilder of our caliber used the bands like I see people doing, it is not enough. You will be going backwards. And people say, well, it's the only thing. Something's better than nothing. I think that, yes, the something is better than nothing, but it's on you to obtain some sort of equipment. I don't care what it is, and handle it. I mean,
I also think that's just another example of people, just dipping their toes in the water or being halfway in. Well, I got the bands, so this is good enough. Well, no, like either this is an important thing to you and you're all in on this all the time, regardless of the circumstance, because that's what it means to be all in. It's not just when it's convenient or when you feel like it. This is what the circumstance is. The people that really care found a way.
Because if you think that your competition, and I'm talking more on the amateur level, John, obviously at your level, everybody's all in at that point. But for me and Joe's level, the people that have taken these steps are going to rise in these shows, pending if they happen in the fall. We all hope that, September and maybe August shows will happen. And we're starting prep now for that. And the difference makers are going to be, I'm using this time as to separate from the pack, not maintain. People say, well, you can maintain a physique using lighter weight. And I'm like, I'm not trying to maintain. I'm still trying to morph through this. So you got to find a way. And I know there's going to be people that are going to listen to this and be like, there's no options. But man, there are options. And even so, the connections that you've made over the years, that is something that you need to utilize, and at least ask, maybe pay some money to use somebody's garage or something like that, and whatever it may be. There's all kinds of gyms are renting equipment right now. I rented a flat bench for my house. I was doing a few workouts in my house. I found another setup since then, but I rented for $40 for 2 weeks a Rogue utility flat bench, and I had dumbbells already, and I used that bench because that's all I could fit, and I got the workout done. So there's a lot of gyms that are renting out equipment, barbells, dumbbells. They're renting their benches and stuff like that. And if you could fit it, a utility bench you could fit in an apartment. So there's really no excuse to be just like sitting there doing like air hip thrusts on the ground and hoping that that's a leg workout. That's not going to cut it. That might cut it for a certain division in our sport, but I ain't going to cut it for bodybuilders who are squatting 600 or 100 pounds prior to this, quarantine.
John, what do you have all? Because we've been seeing the videos on Instagram and everything. Because you went in on your home setup. So what do you got going on over there?
Yeah, so there's a manufacturer not too far from me called Texas Strength Systems. He runs all the high school powerlifting meets in the area. So he has like 20 racks just ready to go in there. And I powerlifted with him back in college. So I hit him up and he's just like, you can just bring a rack home, man. And so I'm extremely fortunate that he just let me borrow a rack.
Was it already assembled?
No, I had to assemble it, but it wasn't too bad.
I was going to ask you how you transport it. I'm like, did that fit in the back of your truck?
Yeah. No, I got it all in the truck though, but in pieces. And and he had like barbell, 600 pounds of plate weight. Then I quickly bought on Amazon some standard dumbbell handles because I had at our gym 120-pound dumbbells, like a set weight. So I had like 12 tins, right, on those dumbbell handles. So I grabbed those out of the gym, had these other handles that I could take that apart and put on. So I can make that into like an 85-pound dumbbell, but it goes in 20-pound increments. So it's like you got a 25 or 45 or 65 or 85. Then I have a few different bands, and then a flat bench that has a few different incline angles. So for me, man, if I have a barbell and some dumbbells, I will progress and step forward. There will be no drop back. And to say like, at least with that setup, like it's more back to basic approach, but actually I like the free weight movements, and some of them have felt better than getting away from some of the machine movements. I will say, like, because I'm with you, Gary, like during this time, I think of it as like, I'm going to do whatever I can to get one up on everyone else. And I think even a lot of the like serious amateur competitors are thinking the exact same way. But yeah, with the home setup, there's no limitation here. I'll keep progressing forward. Yeah, and you're right. You know, I have looked through like Facebook Marketplace has had some lot of equipment.
They're so gouged. The prices are so high right now.
Oh man, it's bad. It is bad, but there's some stuff available. And you know, other people might say, "Well, hey, Gary, I don't have the money to go buy a rack and a barbell." And if it's really that tight, I get it. You know, that priority's got to be feeding your family, paying your mortgage. But you know, if I also think too, like, hey, this is time to think back and have that. If bodybuilding's a priority, make sure you're financially in a good place to enter into a prep. So if your money's that tight, how are you even paying for bodybuilding? Like, you know, how are you going to pay for your shows and all this stuff? But because you can get some equipment, some basic stuff to make it happen for not a whole lot of money. You know, I think $1,000 you could get an extremely good setup. But yeah, you're right too, Gary. Like a home workout doing bodyweight squats, especially at advanced muscle development level, it's not going to probably even maintain you. You know, it's not. It's just you need some type, at least within. We have comparative studies looking at high load versus low load training, and sets up to like 25, 30 reps taking a failure. You can get some pretty decent hypertrophy, but going to like 50 reps. I mean, I want to do 100 reps of push-ups. Like, it won't be the same. Maybe like a lower level guy that doesn't ever train hard all of a sudden decides to like open a can of whoop ass on his like home workouts and really push sets to failure. Like maybe that guy might come out. But it's still very limited. Even cardio-wise, I've had people like, John, I'm going to keep prepping. I don't care. And so I have them like going up and down their apartment steps. Like, hey, there's your stepper, or just going outside and doing cardio. Like that's just your other option. So I would urge against people trying to go out and immediately do sprints. I had some clients trying to do that. I'm like, oh yeah, I did some sprint intervals and like, or jogging. I'm like, oh my gosh, when was the last time you did a sprint or a jog? And they're like, my knees are killing me. I'm like, yeah, can't do this.
A few years back, I took a police physical test and I pulled my hamstring 7 steps into the 300-meter dash. You know, I got all hyped. I did the mile and a half fine. I was about 240 when I did it, and I trained for it. I got the mile and a half done in 10 and a half minutes, which was pretty good. And then they hyped us all up for the 300-meter dash, and 7 steps, and I felt right by the glute hamstring tie-in. It popped, and I limp ran it, and I was short on the time. I did it in 60 seconds, which is extremely slow. 55 was the qualifying time, but I thought for sure I tore my hamstring, but it didn't bruise up. But it was just, if you're not used to that stuff, and if you're like a really tight guy, you know, that like doesn't run, that's no good. So these people need to watch out for that.
I tell people all the time, if anybody ever sees me running, they need to run as well, because something terrible has happened.
And I had the same thing happen to me in college. I was powerlifting. I was 2 weeks away from going to like a bench press competition, and we're going to learn sprinting mechanics. And I hadn't sprinted in like 2 years. Go out there, like I think I go maybe 5 steps in, about to turn it on full throttle, and just pop. My hamstring, felt it on my left side, right when that heel struck the ground, and it was bad. That was my worst tear I've ever had. Not a full tear, but it turned like black and purple. Still 2 weeks later, I went to that bench meet, though. Learned my lesson.
Yeah, you know, it's like I'm very concerned with, you know, it's like doing weird stuff like that we don't normally do. Even like just horse around the backyard with like my kid and stuff like that. You're kicking the soccer ball around. You know, I'm not going to sprint after the soccer ball. I'm going to take it easy, and I'll just stand there and kick it back. But, you know, we as bodybuilders, you know, we're not functional. We don't train that way, and it's, you know, for the most part, a lot of our muscles are pretty bound up and tight in that sense, exploding in a sprint and stuff like that.
I agree, man. That's what I've been working on a ton, doing a lot of prehab work. I've had all these reoccurring things pop up, and a lot of it's like, you're non-functional. So you have all the strength is there, but usually you lack some type of control or stability to handle that level of strength. And some little muscle is weak, then gets overused, and then injured. And it's like, oh shit, my rotator cuffs are beat up. Like, what's going on? It's like, well, they were weak to begin with, and you're not functional. So
that, and then on top of all that, and you've beaten it into the ground, and then you don't take the necessary steps to either prehab it so that it doesn't get any worse, or if you're in full on rehab because it's gotten to a point that you're hurt. And I don't think most guys are doing it. You know, I don't think I really wasn't. I did some stuff, and then we had the issue with my tricep, and you sent me all those videos and the examples of everything, and that's when I really implemented it. And even so, we've still seen staying on top of it. You know, it's something that you have to teach yourself, because I taught myself these motor patterns that are obviously not correct. So it's still an ongoing thing. You can't just do it for a little bit, get into mobility work, and then not feel any pain and say, oh, okay, I'm good, I'll stop.
Yeah, I think training through pain is the worst thing that you can do, because you start to build compensations.
I feel attacked.
Muscle imbalances. Oh yeah, okay. Like, I think you can go around pain, but once you start training through pain, you start ingraining improper motor patterns, and that will just turn into a snowball of issues. So
yeah. But I think we should switch gears. We did get some questions. I know I put something on Instagram, John. I know you put something too. I got one question from a guy. Let me pull this up. Give me 1 second.
Gary, have you had to like have food excess problems? Like, what you can follow your diet good?
Yeah, I'm sponsored with Coronado's Clean Cuisine, who's if you remember Christian Coronado, he's a bodybuilder from the NPC. He's local to me, and he has a food prep company, so he's still in, he's an essential business. So he's still busy as hell, and I get all my meats from there. And then other than that, I even get my yams from him. I just like the way that he prepares them. And then I get rice and oatmeal from the food store. So not a lot of food for me is purchased at the food store. So, I haven't been to the food store. My wife's been making the runs there about, once a week. So it hasn't been bad. But I did hear that the meat department is, I think it's getting better now, but in the beginning, a few weeks ago, it was really bad.
Yeah, ours got completely wiped out. Like, you couldn't find chicken at all. Especially like those prepackaged tubes of like ground turkey, ground beef. That was all wiped out. You'd have to go to like expensive sources. So like salmon or fish, like that stuff. People wouldn't pick that stuff down here. I don't know if that's just like a more of a cultural or area specific for
John,
us.
what were you doing then? Were you changing your sources?
I was fairly stocked. So it wasn't a huge issue for me. For my wife, like, she was doing beef. We didn't have beef. We did find some turkey. I've had clients that have some like really bad issues, and we've switched them like, hey, let's buy like a big ass carton of eggs and just take egg whites out that way. Or even looking into some other sources like fish, people that aren't buying fish or shrimp or scallops. Like, hell, we'll, whatever we can do seafood wise for a protein source. Then, and just using more whey, because most of these, your average folk aren't going to stock up on whey protein. So we can sub in some extra whey for meals if we can. So that's been working for a lot of people, but at least I think now, like, I went to the store today and it was stocked. Like, you could get what you need, food wise. I'm a similar situation though. Like, we have like Gorilla Grub meals accompanied by us, and he was making like bulk meat by the pound. And he would sell chicken raw too. So like, there's companies out there that people just aren't thinking about bodybuilding wise that you can buy your meat from, but you're going to complain like, hey, it might be pricier. And that's true. Fair enough.
Yeah, you're paying for the convenience with that. At the time, I even recommended in a conversation on Facebook that you might even want to look in a little bit more expensive upscale supermarkets at the time and go to your Whole Foods, Wegmans. I don't know if you have those stores by you in Texas, but they're a little bit pricier, but the quality of the food is a lot better than, say, like we have like ShopRite and like Stop and Shop, which is like a regular food store. And, I don't know if they were stocked up on meat, but I know that like their cuts of meat could be $15 a pound, $16 a pound, and their chicken could be $7.99 a pound, which most people who are hoarding this stuff do not want to pay that price. They want to pay the $2.99, the $1.99 for their chicken. So I said, if you're really having trouble, go take a look at those places. So, but like I said, it's better now. So that's good.
I had a client buy a whole turkey, like a Thanksgiving, like 20-pound turkey. Cause they're like, we don't have chicken. Like, screw it. We'll cook a whole turkey. I'm like, yeah, that's not a bad idea. You cook it, freeze the meats in portions. That's
see, I hear that, and I think that guy's making it happen.
Yeah, but usually in bodybuilding, we never talk about chicken thighs, right? Like, no, we only do chicken breasts. Chicken thighs are
so much better.
It's a viable option, and a lot of people won't buy those at the store. Like, I saw those packs of those around. That, and then like split chicken breasts, like that still have the bone.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if people don't want to mess with that or what, but they're there. Use them. Like, if you can't get beef, like, use chicken thighs. It'll have some. You could have some fat source through that. Not like ideal, maybe, but it's if you have that or no meat, I would take chicken thighs.
Sure. Yeah, especially if you're in an off-season period, or maybe you were in a prep and then you turned it off, or whatever the case is. You don't have to be so crazy meticulous about it all the time. Like, in a situation like this where there is a shortage, the thighs are fine, man. Like, you just manipulate your diet based on what you're using.
Yeah, and then another issue we had was frozen vegetables and fruit. And that's like my thing. Like, I'm a convenience guy for that. I hate stuff going bad. So we're still limited. We can only pick 4 frozen bags at a time of veggies. And man, I can each.
So you and Renee go and you get 4 each, yeah.
I mean, you have these people that will go in and out of store, and take more and more and more. So I mean, you could do it like that, I guess. But I mean, that's kind of shitty for everyone else. But people aren't going, at least now, for like the fresh produce. It's like well stocked. So if you're worried about your produce going bad, like, we've bought some fresh veggies, cook up a big batch, and just freeze them, just like they come in your frozen bags, and that works well too. A consideration might be to add in, like, if you were taking a multi and now you don't have any fruits or veggies, like, that might be a good time to add in like Animal Pack or a multivitamin to replace some of the stuff that you would normally be getting from your fruits and vegetables. But
yeah, multivitamin and mineral during this time. Yeah, it's a great time.
I doubled up on the Animal Pack, which normally I wouldn't do. And a lot of people, they always say, 1 pack of Animal Pack is fine as long as you're eating. Just as an extra precaution, I started taking 2. Any vitamins that I'm not going to use, the body will secrete it. And 2 is actually a full dosage. It's just, a lot of people don't want to take 22 pills a day. I don't care about that. So, anything to give the immune system a little nudge in the right direction.
I'm powder, man. I like the powder. So, but it's
really cool.
Yeah.
I like the orange. Orange is good, but I'm on the orange flex right now.
Okay.
What flavor are you doing, John? Green apple?
No, I like the orange.
Oh, do you?
It's like, I have it with breakfast. I feel like I'm having almost like a Sunny D or Tang, or I don't know, something like that.
You guys have no idea how I take my powdered flex.
Oh, I have an idea.
I have my breakfast is 6 whole eggs, 1 cup of egg whites, and a cup of oats. I don't like oatmeal cooked, so what I do is I like eating the eggs. I do them sunny side up. I'll eat the whole eggs, cook the egg whites, throw it in the blender with the raw 1 cup of oats, and then I put the orange flex powder in and blend it so it has like an orange consistency to like the oats, and it's actually good. It's better than the oats and egg whites together, plain.
Yeah. That doesn't sound terrible. I thought you were going to say you put the cooked eggs in the shake as well.
No, but the egg whites are cooked though. I don't put the liquid.
Yeah, but they don't taste like anything. No. So it's just you don't have anything opposing it. So it's just the orange. I could see that being okay.
Yeah, it's just quicker because in the morning I'm at the point in my off season where I don't want to really eat first thing in the morning, and I know that I'm going to be kicking myself in the ass when I'm 10 weeks into my diet, freaking out because I'm so damn hungry. It happens every time, but it's at this point it's still not forcing it. The meals are going down fine, but in the morning I wake up I'm like whatever, and I just get it down because I need to stay in the schedule.
What about after cardio though?
It's better than if I don't do cardio because I'm doing cardio 6 days a week right now, except leg day. And on the leg day, breakfast is a little bit slower getting down. But I just got my cardio bumped up to 30 minutes 6 times a week. So and I do it on a treadmill at a decent walk. So it is. I noticed an increase in appetite for that meal. I'm sure once things, like I said, once the body fat drops and things get cranking, I'll be like, this is it. This is the only food I get. And
yeah, you're going to be laying in bed starving, thinking about all the times you blended a meal, wishing that you had that food too.
Well, I go to bed late right now. And you asked me today, like, why do you go to bed so late? And I'm like, because I'm trying to get this food down. But I know in 10 weeks from now, when I'm starving, that I'm trying to go to bed early so I can get to the next day quicker so I can eat meal one. I mean, you almost like teleport to the next day so you can get to the meals again because you're already all done with your meals for the day.
Yeah, everyone on prep is always, I think early in the day, you worry so much about having enough food at night that you go as long as you can morning, you space your meals out, and then you have like 2 meals that get slammed close together. You're like, yes, I won't starve at night.
Yeah.
Which it's like people do it, but really, are we following the plan how we should? Like we should probably space our meals out, or maybe modifying foods in the evening to help with appetite control.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I think you brought up that shake. I wonder if you took out the egg whites and put vanilla whey in it and do like an orange like creamsicle.
It would be good.
It probably would be, right?
The only problem is right now I have a lot of shakes in my diet. I have a pre-shake. That's my pre-meal. Is with I do universal ISO whey. I just digest a little bit better than the animal whey, and I do that with macadamia nut oil and then waxy maize. Go about 20 minutes before training. And then post-workout, I have another waxy maize and ISO whey shake with creatine. And then somewhere else in the day, usually early on in the day, I have a shake with ISO whey, banana, and 1 tablespoon of peanut butter. So it's already 3 meals. 3 out of my 7 meals are shakes. I think that the shakes not back me up a little bit, but I still think I crank through the whole food a lot better. So I try. That's why I'm following with the egg whites. But you're right. It would taste like a creamsicle. It would be really good.
I'm with you. Like I have my pre and post are both like protein powders, and then my morning and night I'll do half my protein amount as a shake. So I do have like quite a bit of protein powder, but I like it so much, especially pre and post. Like I can't do something really heavy, so it needs to be like protein needs to be powder, like whey. And then I'll do cream of rice pre. That's like 70 grams of cream of rice, 50 grams of banana. And then post, I've been getting hungry, so I haven't been able to do like a maltodextrin or even like a waxy maize or something. So I've just been doing oats for the appetite reason. Because I'm 241 and I cannot let my weight go any higher. Like I will just no longer be 212. So my constant the past like 10 weeks have been just like maintenance of calories and low. Like most of my days are 300 grams of carbs, 300 protein, and then 60 fat, which is fine. But for like someone that's 240 pounds and that I put good effort into training, that's not a ton of food. Yeah. So I've been getting hungrier on that. So I have to do more like oats and stuff that has a little bit better. They're satty, but I could switch to meats, but I'm like, damn, I'm at that point where you're not ready to do it, commit to it because you still like your weight.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a treat,
right?
Joe, you want to do those questions?
We kind of actually touched on it because the one that I wanted to pull up was a guy that was asking an example of minimalist meals if you only have certain supplies. So. We kind of touched on it, how you can do different sources and cheaper sources or even use powdered sources. I know, Anna, this is a fantastic time if you're dealing with a shortage for any powdered nutrients at all. So whey, any type of whey protein, but also animal meal dyes. I know that this is an animal podcast and we work for the company, but it is a awesome whole food product that you can get, and we have plenty of inventory. So if you're short on chicken or whatever bodybuilding protein sources you're using, that's a great product as well. But yeah, so the guy, we touched on pretty much everything that the one guy wanted to talk about.
Yeah, I think you could you could get the standard way too and try to piece together your own animal meal.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I did when I was younger to make like cheap weight gainers. Just either get like maltodextrin as a carb source to be super cheap if you wanted to,
or oats.
Or oats, yeah. I would put my oats in the coffee grinder and just mechanically break them down into like make it like an oat powder. So you're not like having these big clumps of oats. When you drink your shake, the oats will stay at the bottom. It's frustrating. So
you got to get it down quick.
You can do oat powder.
You hit it and go.
I used to get like sweet potato baby food. Hopefully you're not like wiping out the baby food shelves right now. Like,
in the name of gains.
You're tackling some mother over the freaking rice, the rice powder because it's your preferred carb source.
Right. And then, getting olive oil. Like people aren't wiping out those, like olive oil for a fat source, or macadamia nut oil, or almond oil, or just one of those oils to make a quick fat source to add into your shakes. I mean, there you go. You got your protein, your carb source, and your fat source. You can modify it any way you need to fit within your macros for those meals.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I mean, like you said, I was doing that too. And it was whatever really, especially in college and stuff, it was whatever I could get my hands on. So, whatever protein I could get my hands on, I'd do oats. I would do bananas, depending on where I was doing them. Peanut, any type of nut butter. Especially right now, like you said, even you could put oils into your shake. Gary's been doing that all off season.
Yeah.
Dude, our peanut butter shelves were wiped out completely.
Oh, really?
So we went to the bulk aisle and it's like, oh, well, there's all these nuts here. We're just going to eat the nuts. But actually, Renee, we made our own nut butter. Just put it in the blender or food processor and just turned it up. And we did like a half peanut, half almond. And we had like some pecans laying around. Like, let's put those in there. So you can like completely make your own.
It comes out really warm, right? Because it really like pulverizes it.
Yeah, it can be a little bit warmer. It has ours came out a little bit of a grainier texture, but I actually like the texture.
Yeah,
it's not so smooth because some of these other peanut butters, they add in other oils,
it's bad shit.
Palm oil and sugar added to them. Like, man, this way I have complete control of how I'm making my nut butters. But I think my favorite's like cashew butter. I like walnut butter for like the omega-3s that are in it. And then, of course, a little bit of peanuts just because I like peanut butter.
Cashew butter is so underrated. I feel like you very, very, very rarely hear about it, and it's one of my favorites. It's just expensive.
Now, how about this one, macadamia nut butter?
Oh. Never heard of it. Gary's got mac oil in the diet right now, though. You see the face we both made? We're like...
Yeah, I've seen some companies that sell it. You can order it, but we made our own, and man, it's so rich and so good. If you just like add a little bit of sweetener to it of some sort, whether whatever you eat, like sucralose or stevia or something. But man, it's a good one. But it comes out pretty liquidy. It's not quite as thicker as some of the other nut butters, but it's an option,
Yeah.
Well, it's something that people don't think about.
All right, guys. Well, we are closing in on an hour, and I need to go eat. So I'm putting a halt on this.
Right on, man. Hey, John, guys, I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on, John. Gary, appreciate you making the time for this as well. The two animal athletes.
I had a busy schedule.
Just tell everyone, like, hang in there, keep pursuing your goals. It's not the time. Yeah. If you have the capability to do it, like, take a step forward in your progress, stay driven. There's no shame in continuing to better yourself in some way. But by no means do not be lack compassion for other people in those situations. And that's not what we mean either. We will aggressively pursue our goals, but also are very compassionate to other people's situations. But
yeah, whatever you do, don't throw your hands up. A lot of people, just because the situation is ideal, they might just say, fuck it. And that's not the right attitude to have. There's always a solution. You should never have an excuse. Just roll with the punches, like everything we've mentioned here. There's just ways around it. And no excuses, find a way. So.
Yeah, I agree with all that. And then just in the nature of these times, I wish that everyone and their families and their loved ones are staying healthy and safe. This has been an edition of the Animal Pakcast. Myself, Gary Turner, John Jewett. Appreciate both of you guys. Animal Nation, until next time, take care, and we're out.